Hey there, and welcome to another dual episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple and the Entrepreneur Rescue Mission. I am here with my beautiful co-host, beautiful wife, amazing friend, all those things, Nancy.
Hello. Well, hello.
So she's baritoning today. Anyway, so uh, today's topic is a fun one to talk about because I actually don't think we've ever talked about this specific aspect of business yet. Um, so again, we're getting closer to the holiday time. If you're listening to this in real time, Christmas is actually a week from today, so we're rounding out 2023, moving into 2024. We talked about this in our last episode, that we are doing our first free intensive of the year of 2024 towards the mid to end of January. If you are interested in grabbing a free ticket so you can lock it in and learn how to leverage LinkedIn to grow your business this upcoming year, it's the 5-day LinkedIn Amateur to Expert Intensive. It's free. There'll be a link in the description of this episode and the email that you received in order to sign up, and we would love to see you there. So the title of today's episode is If It Doesn't Exist, Create It. So, well, Nance, I want to turn it to you first because I have some backstory and I have some things to obviously share in regards to that topic. So what bubbles to the surface for you when that statement is presented? If it doesn't exist, create it.
Well, for me, it makes me think about being an inventor, an innovator, someone who solves problems and isn't just looking for what already exists, and I think my brain has always worked differently in that way, where if it doesn't exist, right, it's like, okay, well, what can we create? And I think a lot of people, on the other side of that are, oh, no, it doesn't exist. It's not something that's out there. And they don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But for us, that's why I love entrepreneurship so much, and my great grandfather was an inventor, I kind of, we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the family. I just feel it's so amazing that we have the ability to do this. And so I just thought, I told Scott, I was like, this would be a really great episode to kind of riff off of, right? We have no bullet points. We have no things that we're really covering. It's just more so leaning into the fact that, we do have the ability, and a lot of what we've actually created in our business, even a couple of the programs, which we'll kind of touch on, it was because it didn't exist, and it didn't exist, and if it did, right, it was really hard to find. And for me, I will say, okay, so 2 programs that we actually came up with, and we have a new one that we're actually doing this year that I'm super excited about. But the 2 programs that Scott and I have together, one being our mastermind, which is a year-long program. It's a hybrid program, right? So it's not just a mastermind where, yeah, people pay to be, in the community, right, and that's it. Instead, we wanted to create a mastermind where you also went on a journey to either A, build and grow and scale your business, create more residual reoccurring income, or B, optimize the heck out of what you already currently have going on, right? So we wanted a container and a space where we could help teach and help people grow. And the reason why we created it is because we wanted that and we could never find it. So that is one thing and one example of that. The second thing is, was my passion project this past year, right? So 2022, last year, right, was a huge year because I got so sick and tired of all these programs teaching the what. Just, oh yeah, you need to put a sales funnel in your business. Oh, you need to, create a website, or, oh, you need to, download and have an email service provider. But they weren't telling you how. They weren't giving you the specifics. They weren't giving you quick templates and tools to make the whole process more enjoyable and easier, right? So not only did I write the book, how to build your personal brand on social media in 2023, this past year, in 2022, I created the program Expert Foundations, right? And that was a program that was plug and play where people can literally go through it and they can plug all the systems and processes into their business and make sure they have a well-oiled machine, right? So I was so passionate about that because, right, everywhere we turned, right, we kept looking for it, and things that were out there were so broad, like even B School, by Marie Forleo. everyone I spoke to was like, man, like B-School was just, it was a bunch of worksheets. I didn't really implement too much. It was very high level. But that's why, I created Foundations, because it is the tangible, the step-by-step, how to create a professional business email. Here you go. Here's what to do. So on and so forth. So again, those are just a couple examples. But Scott had a huge epiphany the other day with one of his friends, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about that. Even something that we're creating new for 2024.
So this is really exciting because it's been something that Nancy and I have been looking for about 3 years. So a little backstory. Nancy and I are, it is not unfamiliar territory for us to invest in masterminds. We've been in some of the, I would say, highest tier masterminds out there with some of the biggest names in the, business space. Multiple 5-figure investments. And yes, we took a lot away from them, but there were definitely some things that we wished were a part of it. And there were a couple things. Number one, we always felt like we were on an island by ourselves, in the sense that, it's kind of a very specific niche to be a husband and wife, married in life, but also married in business. And it was almost like Nancy and I were being penalized for wanting to join a mastermind, even though we are co-owners and co-founders of our company. We would have to pay for 2 people, meaning, it's one company. And, for people that
Most of
don't know
these were
this,
virtual too. It's not
yeah,
like
I mean,
traditional.
it's
Yeah.
our mastermind. Couples can join. They don't pay extra. We love when couples join our mastermind. So I almost felt like, we were almost at like a disadvantage because we were a couple in business. It was more for like solopreneurs, which we support those people as well. The other thing is, I shared this with Nancy, that, there were a lot of masterminds that were female business owner only, meaning Nancy could join, but I couldn't take part in it because I'm a guy. And I remember this kind of came about because, I guess an acquaintance, no, I wouldn't even say a friend, was doing an event for a specific topic that was in my wheelhouse, and I reached out, and they said, well, unfortunately, you're not, a women-owned business, even though Nancy is a woman and she owns our business as well. I wasn't allowed to speak, but they said Nancy could, even though the zone of genius and the topic was mine, not hers. So this kept coming up. So the friend that Nancy mentioned, it's one of my friends, April. She's incredible. I've been coaching her on and off for the last few years, and at the end of every year, and we've had this conversation now 3 years in a row, I said to her, any new masterminds out there, again, Nancy and I are not looking for the tact. We're not looking for, the how-to. We're looking for community. We're looking for an up-leveled place where we can link arms with other people like us to take ourselves to the next level. And I said to April, I said, more specifically, I would love to be a part of a mastermind that is more couples heavy, meaning, people in business together that are also married, than just me having to try to join one and Nancy join one and, send her the login information so she can look at the information secretly, which
Hiding behind, yeah, like on the Zoom call.
yeah, I
I'm like,
remember I was on a strategy call with the one mastermind that I was in, and Nancy sat like off screen taking notes because she couldn't be a part of it. It again, another trigger. So anyway, so this year in particular, April and I were having a conversation, and I was just kind of voicing to her, I said, what's frustrating to me is that and I was doing a ton of research on my own. I was searching masterminds for couples, couple masterminds for couples in business. There was nothing out there. I mean, nothing. There was one that I found, but they stopped it almost 2 years ago. And April's like, you're so right, because her and her husband, Kyle, they're also entrepreneurs and in business together. And she goes, you're so right. I talk about this with my husband all the time, that there's not a space for not just, couples that are married, but couples that are in business together. And that's when she dropped it on me. She said, you know what? If it doesn't exist, let's create it. I said, you know what? You're right. I said, let's do it. So then we started brainstorming, and I remember getting off that call with April, and I busted into Nancy's office and I said, we're starting something new. And she goes, what do you mean we're starting something new? I said, we're going to start our own couples mastermind, couples that are married in life and married in business. And we're going to keep it this very intimate thing. We're going to have 5 or 6 couples that are killing it in business. They're killing it in life. They have an amazing relationship, but they are missing the network. They're missing the community. They know how to do the how-to and the what to do's and all that stuff. But for Nancy and myself, I'll share another funny story. So it's a perfect example why we're creating this. And there's no cost attached. Like, we're not selling this. Like, we're literally, we've been reaching out to people that are in business together. They're also couples, and we're almost solidified at this point. But I remember, so Nancy and I had a keynote in Boston a few weeks back, and then we flew to Chicago. My father was he was receiving an award for, beating brain cancer earlier this year. And the next day, we were sharing an Uber with my sister and brother-in-law, and Blair turns to Nancy and she goes, like, what do you guys actually do? She goes, people ask me all the time what you do, and like, what do you do? So Nancy and I turned to Blair, and we started telling her what we do. And it got to the point where I saw Blair's eyes twitching, where we were completely losing her. And it brought up this sub feeling, I wish that I had other couples around me that were also in business together, where I could voice frustrations and simply explain what we do, and they totally get it. And that's where this concept of, if it doesn't exist, create it. And Nancy and I, we've had a couple conversations with some great couples. We have I think 5 couples now. We're going to cap it out at 6 couples. And the other thing is that, Nancy and I love vibing off of each other and talking to each other, but to have other people along for the ride and brainstorm with is going to be epic. So, we're going to be meeting in person 4 times a year at different locations around the country for a long weekend. We're going to do, dinners together. And I'm just so excited about this, because we know that this may lead to something else later on down the line, where we could have another type of mastermind, outside of just a business one. This is just kind of like a networking one. So I'm just really excited, because this goes back to, if it doesn't exist, just create it. And that's what we're doing. And I am so super jazzed about this. I am so excited.
Awesome.
Are you excited, Nancy? I mean,
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like behind the scenes of working with your spouse. Sometimes I'm like, what? Like, what are you even saying? So anyway, yeah, no. And, I actually wanted to add, I mean, how excited we are, because I will say, what we will be opening the doors to soon is going to be our expert authority masterminds. Obviously we typically do a workshop leading up to it. This year's workshop is one of obviously Scott's favorite and one of my favorites as well, because it's so stinking valuable. So if you guys want to join us, end of January, we're actually going to be doing the amateur to expert on LinkedIn. We will be opening the doors to our expert authority mastermind. So if you were looking for a mastermind, and even if you guys, let's say you want to do it with your significant other, your spouse, maybe business partner, and you want to join a mastermind, that again, you don't have to pay extra for that. You can build the business together and you still get the same love and attention. It is virtual. It's a 12 month long. We take people who are committed, right? Not just interested in growing their business. We take people who are committed in growing their business. We want to help see you get there and keep giving you obviously all the time and attention to keep you pushing along. As long as you guys are showing up, we'll show up and help you along the way. So
Yeah, we only take 10 people, as Nancy said, and
yeah.
we already have some VIP spots. So we set aside 5 VIP spots for people that sign up before January 1st. And there's a heavy discount that actually comes with that for grabbing one of these spots. So if you are interested, I'm also going to leave my calendar link in the description of this episode. So if you want to book a call to learn more about Expert Authority and grab one of those heavily discounted VIP spots, you can do so. So everyone, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can also go to www.thetimetogroww.com. And I say www. Because if you do, it was fixed. Okay.
It will be.
It will be fixed. So just go to www.
No, just the time to grow, guys. That's all you need to know.
I like saying, that's another, it's a trigger because I always, and it's funny, I do it on every podcast. Like when I go on someone else's, I'm like, yeah, just go to www.scottaaron.net. So anyway, I like saying www. That is my whole thing. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love and gratitude to all.